we're live.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
After
great to be here.
It is great to be here. It's great to have you. Thank you so much for being our next interview victim. I mean, subject. Uh, your name is, of course, John Helfers. You're perhaps not as widely known amongst BattleTech fans because you're a little bit higher up the food chain. So we don't see you as as a
Sure.
byline
No,
on
well,
author books
I
as
mean,
often.
you'll see me as edited by, the anthologies and such, a lot of those things. But it's true. I'm not. I mean, secret sauce of BattleTech fiction. I don't know. I do keep a fairly low profile. I'm not gonna lie. It's just mainly because I'm pretty much constantly at work. So,
That's fair.
but
Like
yes,
this whole train would fall apart without you. I agree.
I mean, this side of it, yes. The game side is in good hands. But yes, I am John Helfers. I am the executive editor of Catalyst Game Labs, and I help produce or oversee the production. Let's use oversee the production of
Mm.
BattleTech, Shadowrun, Leviathan's Fiction. We're branching out into other things as well, but I know we're focusing on BattleTech here, so that's what we're going to be on. And we publish about 1 to 1.2 million words of new fiction every year, and a fact of which I am inordinately proud of.
Which is a lot of new
Yes,
fiction.
yes, it is for these two, especially. And it's look. Let's be honest, it's mainly BattleTech and Shadowrun, and the fact that I'm just going to say off the bat, the fact that these two IPs, intellectual properties, are still going so strong after so long is frankly amazing. It's wonderful, and I have the fans to thank for that. They're the ones who make this happen. They're the ones who make sure we have jobs, and it's great.
It is absolutely kind of a miracle that this whole thing
Mm.
is still going. But
Right?
before we get into the secret sauce of how that continues, how about you give us a little bit of your BattleTech story? What got you into BattleTech and what keeps you playing?
So yeah, I mean, like a lot of people, I go way back. We played with my group of friends pretty heavily in high school, and let's just gonna say it's a few decades. We're gonna leave it at that.
Okay.
And then once I got to college, did do some more in. We had a gaming group in UWGB. I didn't found it, but I certainly played there a lot. And then afterwards, I got into day job and real work and stuff, and I fell off until I met Lauren Coleman at Gen Con many moons ago, and started getting into the company, and that's where I find myself here. So it's just been just a love of the IP, the ideas. It's big stompy robots, but also combined with characters you really care about, and that's on the fiction side. I mean, the characters honestly carry a little bit more weight, but the mech battles are what keep people coming back as well.
Mhm.
And I've always been just enamored of that whole thing. I'm a big military science fiction fan. I've written some of it. I've edited a lot of it, especially here. And it's just but mainly because the fans keep coming back and they want to know more stories. They want more stories about this expansive, this huge universe. I'm like, oh, we'll keep giving them to you as long as you keep coming back for it. So, but me, it goes back a long ways, and I was thrilled to get back into it. Now, your last question on this part is what keeps you playing. Sadly, I don't get to play as much as I would like. I typically do the Masters and Minions at Gen Con, but it's just I don't have the time for like free play or getting on what is it called, the interface where you can play other people. I forget what it's called.
Mega Mech?
Yeah, that's it. Mega
Yeah.
Mech. I just don't. My schedule is just chock full of work. So, but I enjoy when I do play. I know me and Michael Sierra have been partners at Gen Con for a long time, and we usually have a good time. We actually won this year, which was impressive for us because our record is not great. But the dice actually did not treat me shabbily this year, and so it was a fun time. It was a fun time.
Ultimately, it always comes down to dice rolls. Best laid plans, and it doesn't matter because of dice.
Yeah, and we still got screwed on initiative. Like we didn't win initiative like the first 6 rounds.
That's impressive. You won it all.
Yeah, well, we kept hitting when it counted. So I'm not going to go into the details, but it turned out well. So, yeah.
All right. Well, before we continue, we of course have to get the all-important question out of the way. What is your favorite mech?
Yep. It's a classic, but I think it's one that's fallen out of favor in terms of like the walking weapons platforms. But I'll tell you, my favorite has always been the Battlemaster. It was the first mech I ever bought, and sadly for my friend, I was supposed to buy it for him, but I liked it so much I kept it for myself. A little bit of a snot back then in high school. So I should buy him one and send it to him. Like, hey, I owe this to you from 30 years ago. But it's just the intimidation factor of that sucker. The big gun. And I like that it can hold the gun or else put it down. And again, I feel the classic, the Prime, the Alpha version is a bit undergunned, underpowered. I'd probably have to play a variant to survive on today's battlefield. Let's be honest.
Fair.
But I just love the shape of it. I love the look. Every time I can get it on a cover, I try to. We have one of the Legends novels is coming up. It's the Red Fighter. It's what Michael Stackpole's Red Corsair was supposed to be, and he had to write something else. Beautiful red battle master just firing everything. It looks awesome. I can't wait to put that one out. Anyways, I think that's natural selection. Mistaken. Anywho, that's a great image. It works so well on a cover, like most of these mechs do. They make really good covers for my books. So yeah, there you go. That's probably way more information than you wanted to know.
That's okay. Everybody's choice has at least a little bit of a story behind it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Okay. And also moving on to another question, what is your favorite BattleTech faction and why?
So this one is maybe a bit of a surprise, but I don't have one in the clans or the great houses because I think they're all kind of how to say this politely, bad in a way. whether
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
whether it's
I agree.
neo-feudalism, whether it's neo-feudalism in the great houses, or the clans are just might makes right at all costs. Like, so I go with the mercs. I'm just gonna the mercenaries. Like, I'm gonna get paid from you, and I can still refuse an order I think is unlawful. And I make my own way, and I've always had a soft spot for the mercenary fans. Aerodynamic Light Horse, the Kellhounds, the GDL. That's my boys.
Yep.
Right there.
It's trying to fight your way through an unfair universe.
Exactly, and hoping to survive another day. And especially the smaller, scrappier units, I think are a lot of fun too. I mean, yes, the battalions are, but just it's a lance or a company just trying to make it from one contract to the next. The struggles those have, I think, is a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
To read, at least. I wouldn't want to experience it.
Yeah. So Sarna doesn't have a lot of history for you. We have one of your Battle Corp stories as you being the written author.
The only one.
The only one. And that's about it. But your profile on the Catalyst website, the official one, reveals you have an extensive resume. So how did you go from being editor at Techno Books to executive editor at Catalyst?
All right, I'll try to keep this short. Maybe we'll edit and post. So,
okay.
I went to school at UWGB, University of Wisconsin Green Bay, for two reasons. One, it was relatively close to, at the time, home. But the big one was because the two reasons were, one, every dorm room had its own bathroom, so no communals.
Okay, that's
and two,
that's a perk.
Yeah, and two, all the main buildings were connected by underground tunnels. They were smart when they built it, so you didn't have to. Once you got on site, you didn't have to go out into the bitter, bitter cold.
Mm-hmm.
And I went for journalism, then switched to English, and I had no clue what I was going to do. But back in high school, I read an anthology called The Last Man on Earth, edited by this guy named Martin H. Greenberg. And in the cosmic lottery of coincidence, that same man was teaching political science at Green Bay, the University of Green Bay.
Huh.
It was amazing. And once I put two and two together, like, holy crap, this is the same dude. I wrote him a note, or I somehow got a hold of him through his office, I think. I just saying, hey, I'm interested in publishing, because I didn't want to teach. That's not my bag. I mean, I can do like an hour-long seminar, but I could not face people day in and day out for years. So I went to him and said, hey, I'd like to see if I can get an internship to learn about publishing. I publishing a lot. And we met, and he said, well, I don't want to do anything through the school, but I've got this home library that's been getting books for a while, and he published like 500 or 600 of them. Why don't you come and, I'll give you a part-time job and organize my library. And I went to his house, which is fairly large. And the library, what he didn't tell me was he'd also been receiving these top books from other publishers for like 20 years. So it was massive. I spent 18 months doing that. And then they moved me into the office where I really started learning publishing. And that's where I spent like the next 12 to 14 years. And I rose from like assistant, gopher to senior editor there. And I learned the ins and outs of how to package a book, how to publish a book, permissions, contracts, the whole. It was great. It was amazing. And we had some high years. And then unfortunately there was a downturn of 2008, which really kind of hit everything. And things declined, and I had to find other work. And around that time was when I met Lauren at Catalyst. And I was still doing jobs on the side, and I started doing proofreading for them for Battle Corps. Battle Corps was still a thing at this time. But my proofreads actually turned out to be more like line edits, which is a more detailed, more involved edit for them because I'm like, I'm going to fix this because we own it. But it made the stories better, and it didn't, no, I don't recall everyone ever getting angry about it or anything. I mean, I was making more substantive changes, and apparently they liked what I did. So when the time came for them, they wanted to put out an anthology, which just became Spells and Chrome, my one and only, for Shadowrun, my one and only award-winning project, which I'm very proud of. I won the Origins Award for best game-related accessory. And they saw I could actually do the work, and so they brought me on board, and here I am, 8 years later. So yeah, that's the short. That's as short as I can make it. But it's just I didn't fall into it. Actually, and a shout out to Jean Raby, who said you should go talk to this guy. And so she is responsible for my my Catalyst career. I couldn't thank her enough.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, I've also been told you maybe only had the one Battle Code story, but you've done a bunch of tie-in fiction for other IPs other than BattleTech. I think one of them you mentioned was Shadowrun. What?
Yeah. Yeah, and let me tell you, the reason, well, A, because I'm an editor, I don't feel like it's fair to me like to take a slot from someone else.
Right.
That's why I don't write. But B, and I've been working in this IP for like, almost a decade. BattleTech, the writing in the universe intimidates the heck out of me because of the politics and knowing you have to know so much. And here's where I give a shout out to our fantastic fact check team and Eric Salzman and all those guys who it's just too many to name. Who keep our writers, help our writers make it the best story they can. But the sheer breadth of knowledge you need to have to write a story, I'm just like, no thank you. So luckily I have an out that I don't want to take a slot from other people. If this were to change and I was ever to leave this position, I'd give some thought to writing it because it's a really vibrant world, but universe. But it's just, there's so much to know. So, but getting back to the thrust of your original question, yeah, I've written a lot of tie-in stuff. I've written for other friends in their universes. I've written a Transformers short story, but my main focus back when I was still writing on the side for other jobs was I did men's action adventure novels. I wrote several of the Backbone and Executioner novels back when that was a thing. And I wrote four Deathlands novels, a post-apocalyptic kind of men's action, which funny thing is I grew up reading both of those. So the fact that I've gotten to work in not one, not two, but three of the favorite IPs that I, grew up with as a kid, as a teenager, reading these, kind of a dream come true. So yeah. And I've done a smattering of other things. I've written a Valdemar story for Mercedes Lackey that's high fantasy. I'm trying to think of what else I've done. And some one-offs here and there. So yeah, but just the one BattleTech story. I picked something small, self-contained. I had ideas to make that a series. I thought those characters were really interesting, and I've never gotten around to it for obvious reasons. But maybe someday I might pick up that again, but we'll see.
Okay, that's perfect. So let's move on to some of the more higher level questions we have, because it's rare that we get to talk to someone with the title of executive. So we're going to move on to...
Don't read too much into that, Sean.
Well, even still, I'm going to ask you a couple high-level questions because you're going to be the more knowledgeable person in the industry, at least between the two of us. So, tariffs have been certainly a thing that has upended a lot of industries, Catalyst's gaming industry, and I would imagine the public industry is no exception. How has Catalyst adapted its publishing arm to deal with the rapidly shifting economic situation at home?
So, yeah, tariffs is a huge deal naturally because so much work across the gaming spectrum is produced overseas. I'm not going to touch on the other parts. There are other people who are much more knowledgeable. I mean, I know the bare bones, but I'm just going to speak to how it affects my portion. And the short answer is, fortunately for me, it doesn't, because I do all my printing in the U.S. Because I do print on demand printing. It's just, when someone puts in an order for a book, they print it there and then. So, and that helps keep, even though you're paying more per book, it helps keep costs down because they don't take up warehouse space. I'm not sinking money into 1,000, 2,000 copy print run and having it sit in the warehouse. So for me, I'm very fortunate that it doesn't really affect me. Other areas, like I said, it does, but I'm going to punt on that one, to be honest, because I don't know the ins and outs. And you really want someone who's more involved in that to maybe address that issue. The short answer is, of course, it's affected us, significantly. But we've made changes that I'm not going to go into because it's kind of behind the scenes stuff that I don't feel comfortable talking about with any degree of accuracy. Let's put it that way, just because I see some decisions being made, but I don't know how they're carried out, and I don't really want to get into that. So there you go.
Okay, fair enough.
The good thing is my books are fine. And believe me, I'm extremely happy that I don't have to worry about trying to navigate that whole thing. You know?
That is
So
good,
there you
and
go.
we're happy
Yeah.
about that. Let's move on
Yeah.
to something else that's rapidly changing: technology. It's always been kind of rapidly changing, especially for something like the publishing industry. What's been the most transformative advancement in the publishing world for Catalyst?
And that's a great follow-up question because, and again, I'm just going to talk to me for fiction. Print on demand publishing has hands down been the most transformative option for my department. The fact that someone can push a button and look, and I know a lot of people don't like Amazon. They're the 800-pound gorilla I have to use. Let's
Yeah,
put it that way.
a lot of people are like that.
Yeah, yeah. Although I'm looking at other options for that to give people another choice.
Okay.
Because, and I'm going to tease this. I found an option that may allow me to sell print-on-demand books on our store, which I think would be fantastic. So I've got to keep looking into it. But it's I've got to. Anyways, that's something we're looking into. So, but just the idea that someone can press a button and 2 weeks later have a bespoke printed book for them arrive in their mailbox has been a game changer. Absolutely, yes. And my boss grumbles about this. It does cost a little bit more per volume, but the idea to print these, orders like for a convention, I print these to order, and then we keep them, and I have third-party vendors who buy them, so eventually they do sell. And then once we get certain things worked out, I am hoping to try to get more penetration into the game store market. So, and that would help too. I mean, I'm always looking to sell more books, but print on demand, hands down. Nothing in publishing. I can't think of the last change. Movable type, maybe. Because publishing has been standard book publishing has been very static for decades, forever. Like before POD publishing, the past century, nothing had really. Well, the ebook, of course, obviously, that's been a game changer as well. But in terms of physical book parts, so yes, I would say ebook, POD, and those certainly. The fact that I can deliver a book to someone like that they're comfortable reading on a screen, also. So it's not the unsung hero. Yeah, but the fact is, like 40% of my sales are still paper, books people hold in their hand, and that's that's very impressive. That people still like. I want a book I can read, touch, put on my shelf, take off my shelf, read in a chair without having to worry about it. And I'm all about giving people our stories in whatever medium they like to have, on audio, print, ebook, whatever.
This is just a random question. What do you prefer, electronic books or physical books?
So I will always have a soft spot for physical books. That's never going to go away. I have a shelf that's overflowing with my comp copies because I like just looking at them. But to be honest, it's so much easier to read on a tablet or something that the ebook, just for utilitarian use, is just so much simpler. I can hold my entire library on my phone, on my iPad.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of can't beat that. So it's a matter of what do you like it for? What do you use these for? But for me, it's simple. I need to, and also search. I don't need to flip through a page when I can open it up and search for a word or a character or a setting in a 90,000 word book like that. So that too. So, I like paper, but I use ebook. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. It's just more utility to it, and I don't
Now,
have to worry
Sean,
about
do you
it
have a preference?
burning.
Oh,
Definitely digital. I do not have enough room to have books, even though it
there
would
you
probably
go.
be good for. Yeah, I just don't have the space. Like you can see my shelf; it's full of food. I don't have room for books.
Right, right. And I need another bookshelf, and like you, I also don't have room for.
Yeah.
For real. Between other research books, we're gonna, my wife and I are gonna cull, but I'm overflowing. I'm like, I can't put these anywhere. I'm gonna have to go in a box now. Like, damn it. So
Yeah. So digital storage is just it's really hard to beat. Although it may be making me lose sleep, and we're looking at options for perhaps maybe just getting books via the library so that I have something physical to read that doesn't blast my eyes with UV rays.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
Okay. But there's been another advancement in technology, one which has been somewhat destructive, I will say. AI. But the term for artificial intelligence and what constitutes AI has been increasingly blurry because it's been used for marketing by basically everybody. For example, I use a transcription service, which I will take this interview, I'll hand it to the bot, it will come back with words so that I don't have to do it by hand. It's going to be mostly wrong, so I will still have to fix a lot of it, but it still beats going through the interview minute by minute and typing every single thing that you and I say. Some people call that AI. To a degree, maybe it is. Where do you draw the line between a helpful tool and AI, especially with respect to Catalyst's zero tolerance policy towards AI?
AI. I have a multitude of thoughts on this. First of all, it's clearly here to stay for good or ill. It's just there's no getting around it. There are prophets saying this is the next whatever of whatever, and all the problems with that, including physical with data centers, yada yada. But let's not get into that. For me, it's very clear cut. If you're using AI on to help create a story, I'm sorry, that's just not allowed. It's pure and simple. Because I have to check this out. From what I understand, if you use AI to create a story, and I don't know if this is true or not, apparently you cannot copyright that story.
I think the law may be still being written, but
I think even looking at it, but
yeah,
that's impossible for us because we have to be able. Tops has to be able to own the whole thing. It's work. Tie and Writing 101. When you're writing a story in an existing universe, you have to sign something called a work made for hire contract, which means you don't own that story. You sign over all rights to it, everything, to the company that owns the intellectual property, in this case, Tops. That's why all of our copyright pages say copyright year by Tops. The author gets credit for it. You can use it as a credit on your resume. You do not own that story. You cannot do anything with it. You can't reprint it anywhere else. You can't create derivative works. You can't do that. Introducing AI into the writing process muddies that water so much. We have to have a zero tolerance policy. I don't even want authors really using them to brainstorm story ideas. It's got to come out of you. We are happy to help with that. We're happy to help you refine a story idea. I have a pitch, I'm just not sure where to set it. We have tossed pitches to our fact check teams hey, this author wants to do this. Where would you set this in the innersphere? It'll give us a planet that's relatively untouched. There's hundreds of planets that haven't even been touched in the last 40 years that are wide open for exploration and creation. But no, so we take a hard line on it, especially for art. That's a big deal. And I've just done the same across the board because it's unfair of me to say, oh, you could do this for that. You could do this AI for writing, but not for art. It's all creative work. And plus, we can't have AI touch it because if that doesn't validate Topps' copyright, huge problem. Huge problem. So
let's move on to less controversial questions. And something that has more to do with your role as an executive editor. So as an executive editor, what stories do you want to see in the BattleTech universe? What corners of the universe have we yet to explore? As you mentioned, there's hundreds of planets we've yet to actually explore. And what's doing well that should be expanded in the current BattleTech universe?
Oh my God, you're killing me, dude. So, and I literally almost every interview, when I go on a podcast, when I go on a WolfNet, when I go on a Mechs and Men, but I get this question a lot. Basically, it's kind of what do you want to see? And so let me make it clear. I will always love to read about mech battles and mech combat. That's fine. It's the cornerstone of our universe, and I have no problem with that. It's fun seeing the different ways that writers, stretch tactics and strategy and then damage, how you write battle damage, how you show things happening. That's always kind of fun to see different writers' takes on them. I really like for myself stories that talk about the people around the mech warrior. We've been fortunate in Travel to publish some of those stories about ship engineers. There was a great one a few issues back about they were literally ship engineers trying to keep a warship together in this heated battle. It was one of the most amazing things I've ever read. I wish I had the story title in my mind. I should have had it ready for this. But we published now, which is 22 issues of Shrapnel. So they don't quite blur together. I can pick them out, but that's a lot. That's a lot of good new short fiction and material. So But the problem is, again, as I've said, BattleTech is such a huge universe. It's impossible to me to pick out, oh, you should go here or there or the other. I'm really excited about where we're going with the Ill Clan era. But I also think I'd love to see more periphery stories. I really like that kind of Wild West frontier area. I think that's very cool that you can do a lot of, basically, let's just say borrow tropes from westerns or other, the one mech against whatever, overwhelming odds, however you want to play that. So I always have a soft spot for the periphery because I think it's just so wide open. I'll talk a little about this. I will talk about this a little more later. Also very excited about the hinterlands and that whole swirl of conflict and little mini states. The balkanization that's happened there is fantastic. I'm going to hint at, we have a big project coming up for that region that crosses the game and fiction in a really exciting way. I can't talk hugely about it, but the meetings we've had is really, really exciting. Um, but there's so much. I can't, those are just off the top of my head. But you could dive into the map on Sarna. Pick it, just type in a planet at random. Was this great? Oh, there's nothing here. And it's set on the border of here and here. I could do this. There's so much latitude you have with picking, and that's I always kind of try to tell authors, like, don't dive into the high level. Well, I want to talk about Alaric and this, and then and they're talking with the kind of the sea. No, 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 no. Slow down, slow down. Start small. Find a planet that's untouched. Create a story based on, set on that planet. Small scale. A lance of mechs, a lone mech warrior, or something like, whatever. And you got to build up to that. You cannot say, oh, I want to write this because I want the Ilkhan to do this. That's not going to fly. I'll tell you that right off the bat. You work up to that. So, but the thing is, I can't, I talked about the things I said, periphery, hinterlands, but there's just so much. That could be an interview all by itself. Like, well, what things do you want to see? Well, okay, this. And the other thing I tell authors too is go look at the source books. If you can't pull at least half a dozen story ideas out of those source books, so they're packed. Like, for example, we just published The Longest Day by Jason Schmetzer.
Mm-hmm.
That story, 50,000 word story, came from one line about this happened on Virantofta. And Jason, fantastic writer that he is, wrote this entire story about it. It's that easy. You can take this one line, one paragraph out of a source book. There's novella. There's a novel for you right there. It's the game writers pack them so full of stuff that it's almost impossible not to get good story ideas out of it. And that's the kind of story I'm talking about. It's set on a planet. Now, he went larger scale because they were being invaded by the clan, but he wrote a great contained story. It was one planet, one unit, one enemy, and they just went to town. So there you go.
Very cool. Okay, now as an editor, there's that constant struggle between the need to try and improve the work while trying to maintain the tone of the author who created it. Do you struggle with this while you're editing in BattleTech, and how do you navigate this problem?
So I have been editing people's work for going on 30 years now, which again really dates me. And I like to say I'm pretty damn good at it, to be quite honest. It's not a struggle for me, especially in terms of tie-in work, to be honest, because again, we own it. Now, I have done millions and millions and millions of words of BattleTech fiction. In all that time, there's only been one instance where an author has said, "Hey, I don't want this published under my name." It was, I'm just going to put it up to creative differences. The book is solid. The book is really, really good. I don't know why this author had a problem, but we respected their wishes and we did what they asked. So I don't struggle with maintaining author's tone versus improving the story. And this is another thing I'm going to throw out for aspiring authors. We editors are not your enemy or your friend. We're all striving toward the same thing, which is to make your story the best story it can be. Sometimes that is, the whole kill your darlings kind of thing, which can be a rule in editing. Not always, but but no, I've always approached it to what's going to make the story better, and I'm fortunate. I'm very fortunate to work with a cadre of authors who understand how time works and who trust me to help them make their story better. I'd like to think if you asked all of them, they would say, "Well, that Helfers guy, yeah, he pretty much knows what he's talking about." Not, "Oh, that Helfers guy, jeez," you know. Um, so yeah, but I'm here to make the story A. It's got to fit the parameters of the universe, the canon of the universe, and B. I want it to be the best BattleTech story they can write. And I want to help. That's my ultimate goal: is to help every story by Hansa, every story by Reed, every story by Young, even Stackpole. I edit Stackpole, not much. He's pretty much got it down. I want all those authors to every story they put out, the readers go, "Oh my god, this is amazing! I want to read more by this person. I want to read more in BattleTech." I'm trying to hook them. I'm not going to lie, and I will utilize every trick in my editor's bag to make that story as good as it possibly can be. So yeah, but it's not really a struggle. After 30 years, I have it pretty much down where I know what works and what doesn't. Now, tailoring those to the idiosyncrasies of each author, that can be a little challenging sometimes, but still, it's not terrible.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you're not alone in your editing endeavors. Phil is accepting submissions for Shrapnel while you're commissioning the broader fiction. How does it work between you two? Do you give Phil kind of a red list of places and topics that can't be touched and just say go nuts otherwise? Or is there more coordination between the two of you?
I would say, honestly, if I may be so bold, I think maybe besides Randall, I think Phil might know as much about the overall BT universe as anyone working with us or for us. So I'm very fortunate that he has that really broad because he's been a fan forever. And then writing and editing it for the past decade, much like me. He was on board. They were using him before I even came on board and got the job. So I trust Phil's judgment implicitly. He pretty much has kind of carte blanche because he knows what's off limits and what's not. He knows that we're not going to publish a Clan Wolverine story. Or if we did, it'd have to be something really amazing that we'd have to get clearance for. Although I suppose if you did one back in the homeworlds, back when they existed, it wouldn't be a problem. But we're not going to do a Clan Wolverine in 3152. Let's put it that way. That's not going to happen.
I mean, that would be a thing, but cool.
That would break a lot of people's brains. But if someone wants to do one back in the homeworlds when they were really a thing, sure, that's fine. Historical. Point being, I give him his free reign. And it's very rare that I have to. Actually, the only time I step in, so I proof every issue of Shrapnel. I want to look at it because nobody edits. Every editor is different, and nobody edits the same way. And I typically have just minor. And also, I'm looking for errors. I'm looking for typos. There's only been a handful of times when I had kicked it back to them and said, "Hey, I think this one didn't quite maybe hit the mark." I could, on one hand, 22 issues on one hand, I can count the issues, so it's not ever a problem. It's extremely rare. The quality of Shrapnel is amazingly high, and that's all due to him, and also our plush readers. I'm going to call out it's Brian Young and Jason Hanson because there's more submissions there than one person can handle. But he's got 98% of it is all him putting it together. So and we work really well that way. So I can hand off Shrapnel and know it's in good hands, and I don't have to worry about it. So there you go.
All right. Now, one of the things that I like about some of the recent BattleTech novels is humor has become a much greater quality. We have Stackpole's Death Kangaroos and Brian Young's Earnestly Funny Fox Patrol. And then I think we also have the Wacky Antics of Ace Darwin, courtesy of James Bixby. How far do you think BattleTech can go with its level of comedy? Because it's been ratcheting upward. Might we see a full-on action comedy?
So, I mean, I'd like to think that I was kind of sort of responsible for this because here's the thing, and I did this in the Shadowrun novel I co-wrote with Gene Raby. I believe humor is endemic in every situation. Now, maybe not BattleTech Gothic. I'm gonna be honest. But everywhere else, Shadowrun's this dark, bleak dystopia, corporate overlords. No, people will find humor in, I'm going to say, just about every situation. And I've always been open to that. Yes, this is military science fiction, and yes, it's big, massive entities, massive nations at war, nation states at war. Doesn't matter. There'll still be humor, everyday humor that can be found. And I love that these authors, and other people too, it's not just them, but humor can be tricky. It can be hard to do correctly. And I mean, if there are authors out there who want to see examples of how to do humor successfully in BattleTech, these three authors are right up there in terms of doing it the right way. And yeah, now can you maintain that tone for an entire novel? Oh, that I don't know. We had a night in the woods, I think, which was about 30,000 words from Mike. Again, fantastic read, fantastic story. Could you do it for 90 or 80 or 90? I mean, I guess the right pitch, I would be open to looking at it, but boy, it would be tough. I think it'd be tough maintaining that tone for an entire novel. I'm not against it, but I think it'd be challenging. Let's put it that way. Right now, of course, we're doing Fortune and Glory. Is that what it's called? We're doing Bixby's. He's got a four-parter in Shrapnel, and I don't remember, again, for some reason I don't have the name at my fingertips. But he's doing that's going to be 40,000 words, and he's been doing it pretty well, taking a little bit more serious tone, but it's still the wisecracking ace that we all know and love. It's and that might be the max. I don't know, but like I said, if the right pitch were to come along, and I have to trust the writer, like they've done comedy antics with action before and combined it successfully. They'd have to kind of have a background in that. I don't think I'd really look at one from like a new person. So yes, I like it. I'm happy it's happening. I would see more of it. I'm open to more of it. Let's put it that way.
All right. Let's moving on to something that was mentioned in your Gen Con interview, your roundtable interview, that you plan to increase the rate of published BattleTech novels to 6 per year. Do you have any concerns with maintaining that pace at all, either on the editing side or just getting that many novels out from your writers?
So for a long time, I have had that concern, which is why I wasn't able to do it. But with the Wars of Reaving trilogy now, pretty much the drafts are written and they're entering editorial. I'm comfortable with that happening. Plus, I've gotten other authors. We're going to talk about the schedule for next year already. Other authors have already written their books. I have them in hand.
Okay.
I just got to get them into the pipeline. So it's only so I'm already looking at like filling 2027. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. Which is what publishing should be doing. Every publisher should be minimum a year out. Right now, I'm technically a year and 4 months out, which is awesome. That really makes a difference. I have to stick with it. I have to get these books edited, get them ready to go. But I am in the best place that BattleTech fiction has been in years. So I'm not concerned. Just it's maintaining the pipeline, making sure a project doesn't fall through the cracks. That's the big thing, and keeping them all moving forward. So, but yeah, I wouldn't have announced it if I wasn't confident we could execute. And now with the novels I have in hand, I'm confident we can do that, and I'm very happy about it too because internally we've always talked about, well, yeah, we think we can support more. Like, yes, but I have to have more to push out there in a timely fashion, and I'm not going up to the last minute and being able to do it. So 2026 is going to be, yeah, it's experimental. I mean, once I do it, I don't want to pull back. But if I'm already looking at filling slots 14 months, 16 months out from now, then it shouldn't be an issue. So yeah, so writers will be writing things that their novels are going to have to wait to come out for a while. But again, that's how it's supposed to be. That's how it is. That's how it's supposed to be. So yeah, I'm feeling good about it. I feel very good about it, and I hope the fans come out for these. Especially the Wars of Reaving, because the Clan Homeworlds they responded really well to Randall's Founding of the Clans trilogy. So I hope the Reaving trilogy will do just as well, because those are pretty big books. They covered a lot in that trilogy.
They'd have to. But those are pretty big source books.
Yeah. We could, yes, exactly.
Okay, well, another thing that was mentioned during the Gen Con roundtable, I believe, was about some of those German BattleTech stories were going to be translated. There are, according to our German Sarna readers, there are 2 translated German BattleTech novels that will be published from your Gen Con interview. One of them is Daniel Eisberner's Silent Reapers. But is there another? What is the other German novel that is apparently on tap?
There are 2 of them that were translated. One is called Karma, and I think that's the Eisberner one.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, I'm blanking on the other one. I have to tell you real quick. Now, all right, let me have them in here. And yes, I'm trying to get those out. I really am, because I want to see how well they do in the U.S. market. Give me a second here. BattleTech novels, and I think I have a German, because I don't want to misspeak. Program. I think it's translations. Let's see. translated novels. Here we go. It's Karma, and Karma's the other one. Okay, and then the Silent Reaper's book is something. Silent Betrayal.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but he's also written an original Reaper's novel that's coming out next year. That's what we'll talk about. But this is the translation. I gotta get this. I gotta get it. So sorry, Dan. I haven't quite done it yet. So we have two, and I do want to get them out. Absolutely. It's just again scheduling. These may come out as extras. They may come out as like side projects. I just don't know. But I'm very interested to see how U.S. readers respond to the German translations because eventually I want to bring all the German novels out because why not? Absolutely. So there you go. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so we're going to go back to sort of the high level questions. I know Catalyst to bring to do like universe spanning questions, answer those big ones. You hold an annual writer and editor summit, determine the fate of the universe. What is the current idea for advancing the BattleTech timeline? Will things stay at the same pace as they are currently, with basically a few years advancement per year, or will things speed up?
Okay, well, I mean that's an excellent question, and there's only so much I can mention about that.
Okay.
Right now, roughly, it's about we cover 2 years of in-universe time, like 18 months to 24 months of in-universe time to 1 year of real time. And we're all comfortable with that pace. Yeah, we have several meetings, not just, I mean, there's a big one at Gen Con, there's one at Origins. It's who shows up to where, and we all sit down. And we have pretty much a big one. Adepticon's becoming our kickoff and our kickoff convention in Milwaukee because it's very, let's be honest, tabletop, so it's BattleTech oriented. But that's really becoming a big one for the first quarter of the year. But we have meetings, of course, every week, and overall, I think all of us are pretty happy with how things have been progressing. We're not going to speed anything up. The Ilkhan era is the one we're in, and there's just so much to mine out of it. There's so many plots and intricacies that we've put together that want to pay off, and it does culminate in this huge event that I can't talk about because it's down the road, and we don't want to give it away. That we're building towards. We actually have a event destination kind of thing that we're actively building toward. That's going to culminate kind of in everything. But that's a few years off in real time. That's not going to happen yet. There's so much to explore with the states of the great houses, states of the clans, the hinterlands, all that stuff going on there, the smaller things, everything happening. That we could mine this for another 10 years. We're not going to. We're going to relax. But we could very easily just keep this going. So no, overall, I think everyone is happy with how things are advancing, and there's no plans to speed up or slow down. This is a good rate, I feel, especially for fiction. And there's again with fiction, there's so much more leeway. If someone wanted to go back to the first source book or Empire Alone or Dominions Divided, they could supply me a story that's a couple years back in the Ilkhan era, and that'd be fine. So they've got room to play. That's what I love about this. I could take stories from anywhere. Take stories from Age of War, the Age of War if I wanted to. And if I like it, yeah, I'll publish it because that's awesome. So yeah, we're good moving forward. We have a destination event, a big, massive inner sphere shaking event in mind. But that's down the road. Down the road.
How long down the road?
I want to say a few years. I'm gonna leave it at that. I can't tie it to a specific. It's gonna happen in 2028. I can't tie it to that. So don't take anyone as it's gonna happen this year. No, it's gonna happen when we feel it's ready to happen. Let's put it that way. We're laying groundwork right now.
Okay.
And I feel we're telling some really awesome stories in the meantime too, as things progress towards that point. I've been very happy with Tom Levine's novel Blood Will Rise. I've been ecstatic with what Brian's been doing with the Fox Patrol, ending up in the thick of this with the Lone Wolves. It's just been a lot of fun. A lot of fun to see. And also his G.E. Chistu novels, as the OZ Falcons try to fight their way into becoming something more than what they were, kind of stuff. It's just so much good stuff here.
Yeah, I agree. The current era has a lot of interesting tales that still need to be told. So let's get into some of the BattleTech specific and upcoming fiction questions we have here. But this is a more general question to start. What is your favorite in-universe plot hook that you'd like to tie up, but just haven't found the right ending yet for? And this is something that maybe ties in with that giant inner sphere ending thing that we just recently discussed, but maybe not. And what Bloodhawk are you most pleased with how it closed out?
Oh, good lord. I really can't answer that one. There are so many dangling plot hooks, to be honest, that I'd have to go back and look. Okay, we can think about this because you'll cut it out later. So I can't really think about everything. Everything I know of is ongoing. To be completely honest with you, so there's not really one that it has. Well, no, because that one might still keep going too. No, I don't really have one. There's one coming up in Hans's Long Road, but that might not wind up the way it planned. Let's put it that way. So I don't know. I don't have an answer for you on this one.
Okay.
It's just I know a little weird. Just because there's again, it's so much. There's so much out there. There are plot hooks dangling from 5 years ago that haven't been addressed. There's Dark Age plot hooks that never, what happened to Jacob Banson?
I was
We don't have
about
an
to
answer for
ask.
that.
We don't know what happened. I assume he's
Right.
dead. I just always
I'm
assume they're
assuming so
dead.
too because yeah, but it's not. And we're always open to like if the right story were pitched about something, we might look at that. It's why right now the Clan Homeworld. Someone always asks about the Clan Homeworlds. Same thing. It's like we haven't found the right story for that. It's a big question mark out there, and 300, 350 light years away because no one's really pitched us the right story to tell there. If we get it, or if we find it, yeah, we'd be. Ray's always expressed openness about doing it, and me too. No one's. We haven't found the right story to tell there. So.
At
So
least
yeah,
that's
I don't. I'm sorry. It's really more of a non-answer, but I can't give you one that's really like, yes, this is the one I'm shepherded to completion, so to speak. It just doesn't work that way. It's the universe. And let me expand on that. The reason is we don't want to close off game avenues to our players either. We don't want to really say, oh well, this ends here, and no matter what your players do, you can't modify this ending. This has to happen in the universe. So you're railroaded. You're railroaded to this ending. We don't want to give them. We want them to have the flexibility to shape and change the IS according to their game as they want. I mean, obviously, you don't want to have like Monty Hall min-maxing. Well, now suddenly I have 100 clan mechs of all brand new, and you'd like that to be a limit. But look, if that's your game and you enjoy it, then play your game. We're never going to say don't do it. We're never going to. We try not to take away things. Something Brent Evans said a long time ago, and he's right. Don't take anything away from the players that they feel they've earned. It's very important, and I believe in that. I believe that it's true because otherwise they're not going to enjoy playing the game as much, and you don't want your players to not enjoy playing the game. That could be a problem.
that's a golden rule, I think.
Yeah,
Pretty sure
it's one of them. I mean, there's several, but that's pretty high up there.
Yeah.
I've learned. I don't design games. I watch these guys, Randall and Ray, and all these people, and they do this stuff, and I'm like, that's like game alchemy to me. I don't understand how they do it. These massive spreadsheets of the probabilities and how the dice rolls work out, and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna go over and make my stories and have authors write my stories. We're all gonna be good here. I'm gonna stay away from that.
Yeah,
Even
dice don't
though the funny
determine
part is-
stories. Usually.
The funny part is I do have a game with my name on it. It's out in the firmament. It's called Henchman. But Dylan Bertolo, also very good at this stuff, he designed the whole freaking game. I just came up with the idea.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fair. All right. Another. We talked about the Clan Homeworlds, but another era that has still has some unexplored areas is the Jihad. Will we see any new Jihad stories to fill in any of those gaps? Perhaps in Shrapnel.
Okay, so just as you asked that question, somewhere out there, Herb Bias's ears pricked up. So it has been my plan, and I announced this. I think it was at Adepticon like last year or maybe the year before. I announced that we we're supposed to be doing Jihad, explore the Jihad in fiction. Yes, when we did a poll a few years ago, Jihad was like top the list of hey, we like more fiction here, and we reached out to Herb, I'm sorry, Herb is busy with Continuum stuff. I'm just going to leave it at that. The next
I spoke to Herb.
Continuum
He says, yeah.
Yeah, he's busy, but I need him as technical advisor for that because, of course, he did the whole Jihad era. And again, it's a matter of time. I have not had time to really focus on that and bring him on board in the way I'd like him to. So that's been an issue. But yes, I really want to do the Jihad. We had 30 plus novels, the Dark Age. Never really kind of brought that era to an end like I kind of would have wanted, but it is what it is. Jihad, of course, is wide open. We've had like three. I think we had three stories really set there. And one of them, of course, is Quest for Jardine,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of a kickoff to the Jihad era. That and Embers of War, Jason's fantastic novel that really put BattleTech fiction back on the map. He really did a wonderful job with that. It's literally at the start of the Jihad.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, yeah, I'm sorry it's been long, and Herb has, until he got busy with the continuum paying me like, are we doing anything here? And I'm like, I got to work out the details behind the scenes, but absolutely, I would love to do. We're going to do it, just a matter of time. It's a matter of me finding a time in the schedule to make it work. That's what it comes down to.
Fair enough. Okay,
Yeah.
so before BattleTech's, I'm going to say current renaissance, Battle Corps was the thing that kept the
Keeping the torch
fiction alive.
baby.
Exactly.
Yes, absolutely.
And with the latest Battle Corps anthologies released, being BattleTech First Strike, bringing all those stories back to some new readers. Is there any schedule for Battle Corps releases? And will we ever see some of those Lost series that I've been told aren't quite available, such as Operation Rat?
So, yes, this has also been when I get around to it. So, by the way, so Longest Day was also published on Battle Corps First as a serial.
Mm-hmm.
So, put it together. My goal. So, first of all the Battle Corps anthologies are going to be released in POD and ebook with new covers, variant covers often. I mean, most of them. Counterattack cover's great. We did the one with the fire starter on it. That one's set. But earlier books, I'm proofing them because in the core, I actually found an editorial comment that had been published in the book. I'm like,
oops,
okay, people. Yeah, so these are proofed. They are revised. They are ready to go. And I know First Strike apparently no one could find. We didn't, the copies of that have been gone for a long time. Now you can get brand new set with the Mech pictures in it, up to date. It's a sharp. The reason that one took so long, I commissioned that image brand new, and we didn't have the fighters in 3D models yet.
Yeah.
So it took a while, but that cover, I love it. Marco and Tan did a fantastic job on it, and we don't see aerospace on a book cover. That actually ties into Lauren Coleman's story, Gravity Poisoning. Ties directly into the story there. And again, we don't see aerospace on the cover. Like, I want aerospace on this cover, and it's fantastic looking. I love it. So we are going to bring out all the Battle Corps anthologies. They'll be available to order, ebook, POD, whatever. And yes, I want to. We have full novels sitting in Battle Corps, full serials that have never seen the light of day other than that website. So the problem is, Jason Schmetzer, bless him, published huge amounts of fiction. And I got to figure out how I'm going to bring that out. I mean, I could just dump it all in ebook like Battle Corps Year 1 and just do this massive ebook tome, but I want them also available in print for people who aren't as keen on ebook. So I'm trying to pull all the novels together to know what I have to work with there. And then it's a matter of, like, Operation Rat, I think it's a kind of a collection of short stories, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. I don't even know everything we have in there, Sean. I don't. I don't believe there is a comprehensive list of, like, this is everything. It's close. We have one that's close, but I'm not sure it's perfect. And then, of course, you have to reformat it because they, for some inexplicable reason, use the game format, which is a 2-column system.
Yeah.
That has to be torn down, revamped, proofed again. They did a nice job, but I always find issues. And that's not against them. They were operating on a shoestring budget. It was, catch as catch can. I get it. It's impressive the amount that Jason and Phil put out, given what they had to work with. To be honest, it's an amazing resource, and yeah, it really kept BattleTech in fiction. It kept it alive. So yes, the goal is, in some way, shape, or form, to have it all out there available for everyone, because bluntly, it's money I'm leaving on the table by not putting it out there to be sold. That's what it is. But it's a massive repository of fiction and game material. On Sarna, I stumbled across this list of, like, I think it's scenarios. There's like 40 of them in one big list. I'm like, wait, we haven't. Why aren't these out? Why aren't we selling this? But it's like this whole big thing. I'm like, so yeah, I have to get someone down there into the Battle Corps mines and bring up these gems that, at its height, I think the subscription model was only working for less than like 300 people. So now there's thousands of people. This is all brand new stuff to them. Mm-hmm. They've never seen this before. And but it's a matter of, it's the fire hose that I'm trying to drink of. and carve out things and put them out there. I have another full novel from Jason Schmetzer that was a Battle Core serial. I got to proof that and get a new cover for it, and that'll someday see the light of day, at some point. So yeah, it's a great. On one hand, it's a great problem to have. On the other hand, I have no one who I could throw it at to do the work of culling these things and putting them together. Bill doesn't have the time. I don't have the time. I've got to figure out how to do that. Yeah, but I'll give that some thought. I want it out there. It deserves to be out there. It's some of our best work. Steve Mohan cut his teeth there. Rest in peace. There's stories that people haven't seen of his outside the anthologies. I think every story he published ended up in an anthology somewhere. But there's probably other gems there that no one's seen. I think Craig Reed cut his teeth there. A lot of our authors, there's probably some Stackpole things out there that people haven't seen. So yeah, it's just a matter of time and effort. Story of my life.
Yeah. All right, we're going to do a bit of a lightning round. We've got some upcoming books that are coming out. We've got Outfoxed from Brian Young, the first full-length novel for Fox Patrol. What can you tell us about this book?
I mean, yeah, the really big thing is, so we did Lone Wolf and Fox, which is a 40,000 word, the serial. I republished that to great acclaim. He did Jade Fox's there, because I always like to put new fiction in those kind of things when we repackage it. This is the first true full novel of theirs. It's in editing right now, and I know that Brian sat down with Kat, his editor who handles all his work, and they sat down at Dragon Con, and he's done some expansions on it. I have the first draft, but I'm going to wait to get his revised draft to see. It's Katie and the boys and girls and them getting into just more trouble in the hinterlands. I know they're in the hinterlands. I don't want to give anything away. I think at least they start the book still with lone wolves, and I don't want to give anything away. It's just they're getting into more shenanigans.
Okay,
I do believe again, without giving anything away, some serious events happen in terms of like the composition of the force, not the personnel that I'm aware of, unless we did, but certainly some people get some mechs upgraded. Let's put it that way. Recently, of course, can't remember which one got the Ion Sparrow, so he's been cruising around like 120 kilometers.
I think it's Evan.
Yeah, I think it's
Evan.
Evan. Yeah, I think it's Evan.
Okay.
And other changes are on the way. We figured it's time that certain people got kind of upgrades. I'm not going to say anything more at that, but I can't wait to read it. Again, like you said, Fox Patrol. It's a great combination of heart and humor that I think really works well. And certainly people have really, really gravitated towards that unit as a linchpin, and good for them. And we've had fans all the way from the Philippines contact me about, hey, are you putting these out in a collection? Are you doing anything more with these? Where can we get more Fox Patrol? And that just warms my heart. It's awesome to see a unit being, especially a new unit. There's these storied units, but new ones can be catch as catch can. But Brian, I think, brings such heart and style to his writing that people just kind of fall in love with him and want to see what happens next. So I'm pleased to bring that to them. Yeah.
All right. So will Strength of the Pack be getting a release with all 6 parts in one place rather than in parts? So will we get the Strength of the Pack anthology, I guess?
Right. It's a serial novel. So yeah, but yes, the plan always has been. I'm glad to finally bring that out for people to see, because it was a this is a clan invasion honor and glory set that we got due to, I'm just going to say, technical difficulties. I'll leave it at that. But Jason's done a fantastic job with this. And actually, I'm gonna because he's already written it. The book turned out, it was so big. He actually has a second part to this series that we're going to do later on. But the plan always was it's going to be collected into a collection. Jason's already pinged me about it, like, hey, can we get this out for PAX Unplugged? I'm like, I don't know yet. Maybe. I mean, we're in September. That would be 2 months later. Possibly, because I guess he's going to be there, which is great. I'll have to look at it and see if I want. I have a cover already made for it. It's a fantastic cover. So I could do that. I could relatively easily. I have to look at the numbers and see how the serial is selling. I don't want to cut it too soon. But I was looking at Q1 of next year, but I push it up because why not? But again, I have to look at the numbers, see if are the parts selling, and is it time to put out? Because everyone's going to gravitate towards the collected, I would imagine. But it was fun to make it. I don't know how successful, because I had to kind of drop it with no real promotion ahead of time. It just kind of I wanted to get it out this year. It was important to get it out this year into the wider market. and I couldn't promote it the way I wanted to. But it's a hell of a story. And again, a Clan Homeworld story. It's completely the Homeworlds, which I love. That's fantastic. So which is Clan Homeworlds, I don't think gets enough love. So there you go.
Okay, speaking of Jason Hansa, The
Hmm.
Long Road is coming out this year. This is something I know very little about. What can you tell us about this book?
Yeah. So this year was kind of my unofficial year, the return to Terra. After Hour of the Wolf, which really kind of set the stage for the Ilklan era in fiction, we went to other places. It was very important to kind of update because I really wanted to update the fans on, hey, this is what's happening over here. This is what's happening over here. And we did that for the most part. The source books did a great job of covering that. And I think in Shrapnel and other places, we kind of got everyone up to speed as to what's happening where. So 2025 was Return to Terra finally, kicking off last December with Trial of Birthright, where we actually went to the planet and said, hey, here's what's been happening over here. And then we, of course, we did Tom Levine's excellent novel Blood Over, and other items. And then in Long Road kind of caps this off. It is a novel mostly set in and around Terra again. And this is the one I was referring to earlier about whether a plot thread gets wrapped up, because it brings one of the main Dark Age characters to a point where they could kind of like ride off into the sunset, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that's going to happen, I don't know. But that's one of the things that, and it's a character I thought deserved to have kind of their ending. Let's put it that way. Um, but then another author's already tried to pick that up for something else, and yada yada yada. So we got to see that's going to work and blah blah blah. So, but it's another Terra based book. Like I said, it involves a character who was at the center of everything happening in the Dark Age, bring them to kind of a close in a way. So, but yeah, it's taken a while to get it into ready to go. But no, I have every faith it's going to be a great read. So, and that's what I need to look at myself again. So yeah, that's
Okay.
without, like I said, I hate to give, I don't want to give spoilers. So that's kind of the overview of what that book's about.
Fair enough. All right, now we recently we did discuss that BattleTech is going to do 6 novels per annum. We already know a few of them that we are getting.
Right.
The Wars of Reaving trilogy from several authors, a new
Mm-hmm.
Ghost Dog story from Brian Young, and
Yes.
hopefully a Snow Raven story from Michael Chiaravella. And what can you tell us about these books? Are these still on track? Are we going to receive them?
So first of all, I have to correct you. It's Sierravella.
Chiaravella? Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's how I pronounce it. So you can fix that in post.
I will.
So yes, all these are pretty much on track. And yeah, the Wars of Reaving trilogy. The only reason I could put that out next year is because, of course, each book is written by a different author. That's Jason Hansa, actually Craig Reed, Jason Hansa, and Phil Lee, and those were wrote simultaneously. Otherwise, there's no way I could use that. But yes, so there's that one. You mentioned Ghost Dogs and Ghosts of Tim Cavici was what we're calling that one. That's a big book. That's the Ghost Dogs running around, and I think that leads to the call. Well, we knew the callback was going to happen sooner or later. I'm pretty sure they've already said Calandra has sent out the call.
Mm.
And I believe that's events leading up to what the Ghost Dogs and Hank and his team have been doing up to that point. And that's a big one. I looked at the file and Brian turned to like, holy crap. It's just his biggest novel he's written to date. And yes, that Snow Raven story from Michael is important too. And again, I mentioned that we have an original Silent Reaper story from Dan that we have to get into the editorial pipeline. So that too is supposed to happen as well. So yes, lots of stuff happening. All the drafts have been written, so we're in good shape with them. I'm working with Marco on great cover art. The Wars covers are done, and he's working on the Tim Cavici. I do need him to work on the Snow Raven. I think we're calling it Treachery of Ravens, which is a great title.
It's good.
And so Ravens, Ghost, and he's got to work on the one for Dan's book. But covers, we've got great artists working on those, whether it's Tan or someone else. And yeah, so again, I'm confident in 2026 that we're going to be able to do what we want and work out ahead, because that also helps us get into bookstores. Like at some point, getting our books back in Barnes and Noble is really important to me, because we do so well with them with the force packs.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, hey, you guys like the force packs, so why don't you put a book next to it? It's true.
It ties in.
That's a big part of my expansion, to keep rolling. Yeah.
All right, cool. Now, on top of all those books, we also have a graphic novel in the works. Now, it's not BattleTech's first graphic novel. We've had a couple of comic strips, or comic books, I should say, from like the 80s and 90s.
Mhm.
What goes into making a graphic novel these days? Because I don't actually know. And do you basically have Eldon tied up in the basement just pumping out pages every day?
So what goes into making a graphic novel is a lot. Let me put it that way.
Okay.
And but so first of all, I actually want to put those old comic books and old 4-part series. I want to put them back out because why not? I just got to track down good images of them. I got to find good files of those. So, but yeah, I've never done a graphic novel project before. And it started with Brent, and he was enormously helpful. Brent Evans, our former art director, he was very helpful in getting kind of lay the groundwork because he had worked in it. And it's been a process, and I'm kind of learning as I go. And thank goodness we have people like Eldon who has done this before. And so, yeah, basically, I mean, we don't chain him in the basement. We let him out every so often.
Oh, good.
But 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 when he said he wanted to do this, I was thrilled because he is absolutely one of my favorite BT artists. And the fact that he has comic experience, like, oh my God, this couldn't have come together better. So yeah, it was first getting the script together, and we have some wonderful guest authors. It's kind of the first volume is kind of a anthology-esque. There's a frame story, and then there's stories set within that frame. And we have Tim Zahn, first BattleTech work ever, really excited about, and Sam Maggs, who also did some just kick-ass stories. And then of course we've got Michael and Mike Stackpole and Brian Young kind of bookending it because they also both of them have done comics for a long time. Mike, of course, Dark Horse stuff, and Brian's done some smaller things. So our team is very strong. It's extremely strong. I'm very happy with it. It's just a matter of there's a lot of moving parts. Getting the script together, getting that settled, took obviously longer than I expected. You think because it's just there's not as many words and it's dialogue. No, it's complicated. And that's some of that was on me, and I'll take the brunt for the delay. But it's rolling now. We've seen mock-ups from Eldon; they look fantastic, and I just can't wait to get that volume one out to the fans. And I'm very excited about it. It opens BattleTech into what I hope is a new medium that people will gravitate towards. Because I have big plans for graphic novels. If this does what I think it will, I have very large plans. And Lauren reads this, will probably have a aneurysm. But no, I want to do graphic adaptations of the classic trilogies like Greatest Legion, Warrior, Blood of Kerensky, and open BattleTech up to a new market because graphic novels are huge. But this one has to pay off first. This one has to prove that we're viable in that market. That's the challenge.
Yeah.
But yeah, progress. We are rolling. The script is approved. Eldon's working. So yes.
All right, good. Now that's, I think, everything that I have that I'm aware of coming up. Was there anything that I missed that we should really talk about?
Really quickly, if people ask about the Bounty Hunter anthology, one of the last pieces of fiction due from the Mercs campaign is almost wrapped. All the stories are done. We're just doing a final pass on that book. So we hope my plan is to get that anthology out before the end of the year. I'm very excited about that one. The Bounty Hunter, I think, is one of the seminal characters. Characters, of course, because they've been several people.
Mm-hmm.
But I just love that idea of this image of the Dread Pirate Roberts of BattleTech world. But it's a fantastic concept. And so I'm very excited about that coming out, spanning the Bounty Hunter's entire career from their seminal beginning to reintroducing them in the Ill Clan era. And I hope someone picks up and does more Bounty Hunter stories. I'd love to see that. What are they up to in the Ill Clan era? What are they doing? That's coming out definitely Q4. Kind of as soon as I get the thing wrapped, I want to push it out, but I want to do some, hopefully do a little bit more promo for that. But definitely before the end of the year, I can promise that. That's the big one I wanted to mention. That's kind of on our plate right now to move along. Other than that, just again, I want to thank the fans. Like I said, without them, we can't do what we do. And thank everyone for reading. And we've got lots more great BattleTech stories coming up. So that's not going to change anytime soon. And again, hopefully in different mediums. And also, just to mention, because someone might ask, the audiobook series. We've been doing well this year, publishing a volume every other month. Next year, we plan to move to a audiobook a month. So those who like audio are going to get their audiobook fix in a big way in 2026. So I hope they're looking forward to that. Yeah.
All right. I've just recently gotten into audiobooks, so this is a good thing for me.
Good.
All right.
Yeah,
cool.
Well, we just did the core. The core, if it hasn't dropped, the core audiobook, the core anthology audio should be going live literally any day now. It should be like very, very soon. It's in their behind the scenes reviewing process, which can take anywhere from a week to 3 weeks. So, but literally should be dropping any day now. That's a great way to start to get kind of introduced to audio because it's an anthology. You can listen to a short story like on your commute into work, or just if you're doing chores, just listen to a 15, 20-minute story. It's a great way to kind of introduce people, I think, to BattleTech in audio. So yeah, that's also like almost there. And then of course we just dropped Shrapnel issue 22, which is amazing. Phil again has done an amazing job shepherding that series. And now we are the longest. We've surpassed Battle Technologies. I think we're the longest magazine for BattleTech that I'm aware of. We are now the most, and there's no, we're not going to stop. The fans keep coming out for it. We're going to keep producing as long as they want it. So that's also been awesome. It's been a really great accomplishment, and Phil deserves all the credit for that because he's the one who pitched a magazine to the powers that be. Of course, I got on board with it, but it was his idea, and he deserves all the kudos for that. So, and I think that's it, Sean. I think that's
All right.
everything I wanted to talk about. So
Perfect.
Oh,
Well,
actually, no, there's one more thing.
okay.
We modify that. We have a quadrilogy of Ghost Bear novellas from Brian that are coming up. They kind of go back to the Ghost Bear after what happened Without Question. It goes back and kind of delves into more things in the aftermath of the Civil War, et cetera, that kind of thing. So those are going to start coming out. The first one should be again coming out this in Q4. I don't quite have a date for it yet. Need cover art, which is being worked on. But once we have that, we'll set that up, and that's revisiting. It's certainly a fan favorite faction that I don't think gets enough attention. So we're going back to the Ghost Bears. So I think people will be excited about that as well. So there you go. Okay, now.
Okay, perfect. Well, guess what? We have a couple of surprise questions because nobody gets out of these without doing a couple surprise questions.
All right.
So first one, aside from Sarna's use as a research aid, what do you think of the wiki's fiction coverage? Too detailed or not detailed enough?
So honestly, not detailed enough.
Okay.
I love what you guys are doing, and I do love that you do the moratorium to make sure things are like, hey, this is correct and everything. But I think I've gone to look at things like even I think Legends novels that don't have expansions of plot review and stuff. I'm like, hey guys, you guys need to get on this. So because look, I use Sarna almost every day, literally. It's just almost. I mean, just the mech loadout stuff alone is invaluable. So you guys are doing the universe's work, and I really appreciate it. I always point new writers like, here, don't be scared, but you have to go to Sarna because you're going to use it like every other chapter you're writing at. It's an invaluable resource. So yes, I need more. I need like I don't even know if the core if you guys give like a thumbnail of each story summary. I don't think like the Shrapnel needs summaries of stuff. The anthologies need summaries, thumbnails of stories, so people know exactly what they're looking at. So yeah, I need more. What you've done has been great, but Sarna is a place where you don't hold back. You don't know, oh, it's a mystery. What happens? No. You're telling the big reveal at the end of Blood Will Rise. You're telling that because it's a resource for people to know what's going on.
So long as it's after the moratorium.
Exactly. But this is a look, guys. If you don't want spoilers, don't read that. Go read the book first. But for authors looking to springboard off stuff, it's an invaluable resource. But yes, please give me more.
Okay.
I need more.
All right, perfect. And another question. Let's say Catalyst is hosting the Chili Chompers competition. Which of Catalyst's writers would win the first annual Catalyst Chili Chompers competition?
So, just to clarify, is this an eating contest?
I think so. This didn't necessarily come from me. I just kind of copied and pasted it, and I'm like, you know what? This is great. I don't need any more explanation.
So here's the thing. So I'm going to assume that's what it is, and I have an answer.
Okay.
Now, they might as well be, but my answer is the person. Like, if I had to push someone forward to do this, it would be Finn Hardy. It would be Jason's son, Finn.
Okay.
Because he is, an eating machine. There's no two ways about it, literally. So yes, hands down. And he might as well be an employee. He certainly works enough for us at conventions, and just a great kid all around. Yes, that's who I put forward. If anyone in the firmament would be him, hands down. There you go.
All right. Okay, that's all my questions.
Now I've got to see if we can make that happen. I don't know why we would do that, but sure, why not? Just having people bury their faces in the big bowls of chili would be hilarious.
All right. Well, I'm glad we had a great answer for that, and that is all
Yeah.
the questions I have. Thank you so much for sitting down with me to talk about BattleTech and your works and where BattleTech is going. Um, and I had a lot of fun. Thanks so much.
And it's been a pleasure, Shauna. I'll be honest. I was wondering when you're going to get around to me. I kept seeing people go like, "Oh, Sierravella's on here.
I
Oh,
have a
really? He's on
list.
there. He's on there. Yeah. No, this is a lot of fun. I always enjoy doing these. I'm always up for this kind of stuff to kind of pull the curtain back in a way. And questions were awesome, man. It was really asked some really, not just the usual stuff, but you went further afield. It was great. This is a lot of fun, and thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
All right.